Hello, it's Rob here from propertyinvestmentsuk.co.uk and welcome to today's blog on how to choose the best buy-to-let properties to maximise your returns. Okay, so what makes the best buy-to-let properties so great? And which properties give you the best returns for your investments? Well, property is no longer a short-term gamble on quick capital growth gains. For many investors, it has now gone full circle, and it's now back to how it should have always been, which is about the cash flow and the security of the assets. Arguably, therefore, with cash flow in mind, one of the most important factors when considering property as an investment is your rental yield. However, it's no good just having a yield on paper that looks great, it also needs to be achievable. So this is why choosing the right property is key, because reducing those expenses and minimising your rental voids, arrears and even maintenance, and maximising your return can both be achieved by selecting the right tenants and the right style of the property early on in your property search. So now let's just focus on reducing your actual property expenses and how you can consider that. So the first part of the equation, where the style of the property plays a large role, is in reducing your overall expenses. Now, maintenance can be a big part of this, and the age of the building and the style will certainly affect it as well. And regardless of where you tend to invest, you'll notice certain property styles will also dominate in a particular area. So for instance, medieval York, Georgian Bath, Regency Brighton and Victorian Manchester are just some of the styles that you'll see that define an area. Add to the mix the range of 1930s housing estates, modern flats or ex-council developments, and you can start to see the array of choices you potentially have for your buy-to-let investments. So how do you know which property style is best for you? Well, ultimately that depends on your area as to which property styles you actually have available, and also your personal strategy. You may be looking for a refurbishment project, or do you want a property that's ready to let as an investment? But to reduce your ongoing costs, you need to consider that each of these property styles actually come with their own challenges for maintenance, whether that be initial maintenance or ongoing maintenance. And it goes without saying that the newer the building, the less the cost you should incur. But one caveat to this is with new build flats. You see, typically these come with high service charges and large ongoing maintenance funds, which can easily eat into your rental yield and your property profits. Ex-councils, on the other hand, are generally very well built, or well maintained by the councils until many passed into private ownership in the 80s and 90s with the right to buy schemes. Now these can make great investments in the right areas, as they also have good room sizes and large gardens, which tend to attract long-term family tenants. Many larger Victorian terraces, like in the Manchester area, can also attract long-term tenants as well because of the style, the layout and the size provide fantastic space for couples and families alike, and it will last them over a period of time. Depending on your appetite though, there's also a case for maybe short-term tenancies and also roomlets, as these can provide very high rental yields, but for reducing your actual costs and keeping rental voids down and maintenance low, there's no substitute for long-term tenancies. So often it can be the best focused on properties which homes that provide this market with a good sized bedrooms and space for tenants to grow into. Therefore, to reduce your expenses, it's important to consider the property styles in your area that have less associated ongoing maintenance costs and will suit longer term tenancies, traditionally families or older tenants, if you want the best buy-to-let properties for your investments to reduce your overall cost. So now let's consider maximising returns. Well, rental values have grown consistently in the UK now since about 2009, as shown in many of the industry reports, including the Home Let Rental Index, which shows rental statistics broken down by region. And with rental becoming the only option for most residents, tenant demand is high for all property types across the country. But in an April press release from the UK's largest letting agents countrywide, they state that 1 and 2 bedroom properties provide the highest rental returns for investors. Now, I can see why the figures behind this back the reports up, but as larger properties are typically higher in value, and the increase in property value doesn't always correspond to a property's increase in higher rental income, this is why you get different kind of yields. Now, from experience, however, what I've personally noticed is that many tenants in smaller properties tend to stay for shorter periods of time, because as their needs change, so do demands for the property size. Often these tenants move on for work opportunities, or maybe because outgrowing the smaller properties with their family and need some larger space. These properties therefore tend to have a higher turnover of tenants over a period of time, which leads to greater costs with tenant fine fees and rental voids. So in conclusion, what would be the best property for you? Well, the best buy-to-let properties for maximising returns ultimately depends on the rental yields for your area. A number of areas in the northwest, for instance, will achieve around 8% plus gross rental yields, but also which tenant profile has the most long-term demand. But as a general rule of thumb, 2 or more bedrooms and homes with gardens tend to attract more long-term tenants, and these can make solid buy-to-let investments. So when it comes to maximising your return on investment, it's not just about the headline yields, it's also about reducing costs and making sure the property investment you actually pick will fit the ever-changing needs and demands of your area's tenant market over a period of time. So that's it for today's blog. Hopefully that's been helpful for you. It'll be great to hear your thoughts and what maybe house styles you prefer and what size of the properties you like as well for your buy-to-let properties investments. So if you could leave any comments in the page below or in the video below, that would be fantastic. And I hope to speak to you soon. Take care.